Steering gear tests on the Liberty Promise are a fairly routine operation. They're supposed to be done, according to the CFRs, at least 12 hours from departure or arrival to a port. When doing steering gear tests on this vessel, you'll start by moving the control panel with one of the pumps from remote control to stop. Doing so will shut off one of the two steering gear pumps. At that point, if the other pump is in remote control, as it should be, it will kick on and start itself. This is tested for both the number 1 pump and the number 2 pump to ensure that they work during remote operations correctly. After this, when the pump is started, only one pump will be online when this test is conducted. Simply move the control valve right here, port and starboard side, 35 degrees on each side. An indicator up there will show the rudder angle as the rotary vane steering gear turns. Once you move it to 35 degrees port to 35 degrees starboard, that will finish the engine room side of the operation. Additionally, you will also test the low alarm and the low alarm for each steer. Additionally, you'll check this dipstick for the oil level, making sure that there's enough oil in the container. You'll also check this pressure gauge right here, ensuring it's in the green. That is for the strainer of the pump. After doing those checks, we'll switch both pumps to remote on their respective panels, and then we'll call the mates on the bridge saying you're ready for their part of the gear test. We'll call them on the automatic telephone right here, and they will call back on the sound power telephone to make sure that both forms of communication work properly. After the call is conducted and they know that they're ready for their portion of the gear test, they will do their own portion where they will use the remote control to move the rudder at several different angles. Now, according to the CFRs, they're supposed to test that the rudder can move from 35 degrees port to 35 degrees starboard, or vice versa, in 28 seconds or under. If this is not obtained, this is a no-sail item. The vessel cannot sail. It's important that that's done prior to departure, because if the vessel were to come into rough seas, or were to find a situation where they had to use emergency steering, if it cannot perform its job correctly, that's a serious emergency. It should be avoided at all costs. Once the bridge completes their portion of the test, we would switch both pumps back to remote if they're not already, which they should be. And then record the time that the steering gear test is completed. At that point, it will be put in the logbook. We will go to the engine control room, and we will call the bridge saying we're finished with the gear test and we're ready for the telegraph test. That is how you perform the steering gear test prior to departure on the Liberty Promise. full stroke to 35, 35. I don't know how to do it. You can do it on the other car. And then you repeat the whole process the third time.
6 with the time you said. Hey, we got one called the All right, I'll call you.